Today's rebuild comes with a little bit of a twist. We're going to be managing Feyenoord, the Dutch giants, one of the most supported clubs in all of European football. They finished second last season in the league, and this season hasn't started quite so well for them, but they're a team with not just domestic ambition, but European ambition too. So in 5 years, I'm going to try and deliver success, but the twist is I can only sign players under the age of 23. We're going to have a team full of Wonderkids. That's right, Feyenoord is the team for today's rebuild. Like I say, a club with a huge reputation in the Netherlands and of course all across Europe, with great facilities, known for producing lots of great young talent. And whilst winning a European trophy with the Dutch club will be a challenge, it's not like they haven't won trophies before. 16 Eredivisie titles going back to 2023 being their last one, but also European glory too, a Champions League in 1970 and 2 Europa League titles most recently coming at the start of the new millennium. Now like I say, much like most teams in the Netherlands, Feyenoord are known for producing great youngsters that go on to have huge careers, but this team has already got some star players within it. Academy product Gertruida is a name that's always linked to big clubs in world football every window. David Hanko is a very solid defensive option who had a great year both for club and country. And there's also the star striker Santiago Jimenez, linked with moves away in real life, but as of right now, he's still here at Feyenoord. So there's already those great players at the club, but as mentioned, Feyenoord produced lots of great youth and there's plenty of strong development talents at the club. Valinci Hartman is a very talented fullback with plenty of potential. Anthony Malambo has the chance to be a world-class attacking talent. And if we're after a young striker, look no further than RVP's son, Shaquille Van Persie. So as you can see, there's already some fantastic talent in the squad, and we're actually predicted third place with that team. Despite the fact we've got lots of good players, Ajax are considered better than us, and PSV are considered title favourites. It's no surprise that they actually won the division in this season in real life. But obviously I can't just keep this squad, I need to make some incomings and sell some players on, but as mentioned, I can only sign players under the age of 23. So to find any real good Wonderkids for under 4 million might be tough, but hopefully in future seasons we can add some more to the ranks. But for now, I'm going to try and use that budget how I can, bring some players in, and hopefully improve this team. And in this first transfer window, despite a limited budget, I was actually able to make some big moves both in and out to hopefully help our team. Firstly, a couple of loans to note. Casinwaro here has gone to Willem II to develop, whilst Malambo will be playing for Fortuna Sittard in the Eredivisie for the season to continue his growth. But the big sale, kind of taken out of my hands, was Justin Bijlo, our goalkeeper, a Netherlands international, 25 years of age, and a very good goalie for that age range as well. But he's moved on. He's gone to Saudi Arabia. They came in not 1 or 2 days into this world, into this simulation, straight in, 18 million. He said he'd be absolutely mortified if he couldn't leave. Obviously, he's getting a huge wage packet, nearly £1 million a week. Over here, he was on less than 20. So it shows you the kind of deal he's got himself. So good luck to him. But that meant our starting goalkeeper was out the door. So with that money from the sale and the budget that we made, I was able to bring in a few players. The first was David Affengruber, who's an Austrian 22-year-old centre-back who we bought in from Sturm Graz, actually on a free. He was let go by Sturm Graz at the end of his contract. We are using a transfer update here, and he is someone that apparently is currently without a club, so we bought him in, and he is a very good centre-back with a lot of potential. Might not start just yet, but could grow in to a top player. I've also bought in Rocco Robert Sheen on a free, and he's gone on loan to our feeder club Dordrecht for the season to develop. And just to add some extra quality to our ranks, I've picked up the 17-year-old Oulaid Agulil, whose name I've definitely butchered there. Once again, loaned out to our affiliate. He was bought in on a free from Ajax, where he was let go at the end of his deal, and we were the team to pick up on it, and hopefully he can grow somewhere near that potential and become a top player. So whilst it wasn't crazy business, I still think we've done alright there in the transfer window with the situation we were given, and this is what is now our best 11. We're using a 4-3-3 system. Timon Wellenrufer was the reason I felt like we didn't need to sign a goalkeeper after losing Justin Bijlo, because he's already a very good option, comes straight in and can now be our number 1, and he was already at the club. Our best defence is Holmgren Pedersen, who is a Norwegian 23-year-old with plenty of international experience. Gernot Trunner is one of the more experienced players in the team alongside Hanko, who you've met, and Hartman. Our midfield is Gertruida next to Timber, and then also we've got Zaruki, who is an Algerian midfielder who I'm hoping will be a big player for us and looks technically really good. Calvin Stengs is on the the wing who flirted with a move away in real life, but I believe has stayed now as a Feyenoord player. On the left, our best is supposedly Igor Piaxio, who is a Brazilian forward, and then up top, Santiago Jimenez. Now, outside of those, there's plenty of great players on the bench, and I'm promoting as many of these young stars as we can into the first team to hopefully develop them. But the game seems to think our odds have got slightly worse since losing our number one goalkeeper, and that is to be expected. We're still predicted third, but the odds are now 9-2 instead of 4-1. And if my maths is correct, that means that we've got less chance now of winning the league. But either way, we're going to try and prove everyone wrong. I think domestic success isn't going to be the main aim of this rebuild. That will be hopefully something that comes over time, but then eventually we want to push on to Europe. But we've got to start strong and see how we can do in Season 1. And Season 1 was certainly a mixed bag, but before we look at the league and Europe, let's take a look at the domestic cups where we had a pretty good run in the Dutch Cup. In fact, we made it all the way to the semi-final against FC Volendam, which is a game that we should win, and we got off to a very bright start, bursting into the area early on. Our Brazilian forward tucking it away to make it 1-0. And that was it really until the second half. Late on, Jimenez got in the area, made it 2, and we were heading to a Dutch Cup final. And despite dominating the game against FC Utrecht in the final, it went to a shootout where they scored the first, and then we stepped up and missed our first spot kick. And bit of a warning now, this penalty shootout is not very good from our end. They went 2-0 up pretty quickly. We then stepped up for our second, Hancho going forward, and again, it was saved, and before you knew it, they were tucking away their third penalty, Iqbal stepping up and putting his side 3-0 up, and that meant we had to score this last one, which we did thankfully, but all Utrecht needed to do after that was score a penalty to win it, and they did exactly that. So whilst we did make the final of the Dutch Cup, I would have thought if you put it on paper, us against Utrecht, we should have came out with a title, so that was a big disappointment, and the Champions League was kind of similar. And I say kind of similar because we didn't go through, so obviously disappointing, but then when you see our group, you've got Aston Villa, PSG and Juventus, and we've actually done pretty well, picking up 7 points, only 1 win away from qualifying for the next stages. We managed to beat PSG and Juve in the tournament and got a draw against Aston Villa, but getting knocked out there meant we dropped into the Europa League, and despite knocking out Olympiacos to make it to the round of 16, we were put to the sword by Roma, this brilliant goal being one of the few that knocked us out. But it wasn't all doom and gloom and getting knocked out of competitions, because in the league we had a stormer of a first season. Now I don't want to get our hopes up just yet for the rest of this rebuild, but we have finished top, 89 points. We've won the title, way clear of PSV and Ajax. My only issue is they both have had pretty poor seasons. I don't expect this to happen again. It could do, I might be wrong, but for us to go and win this straight away, I can't take any credit for, because this team already existed, and I don't think my transfers really help. So as long as we can hold on to our star players, we should hopefully be able to deliver that trophy over and over again. And speaking of star players, we had plenty. Timber and Stengs, phenomenal all season, whilst Jimenez managed to bag 24 goals. Ivan Nusic, our Croatian midfielder, he's also done really well, managing to chip in with 15 goals. Piaxao, the Brazilian, got 12. There's even 10 for Zerouki in the midfield, so we had goals from all over the pitch, and that helped us massively. And now we're heading in to our second season at the club with a pretty decent budget of 18 million and lots of wages to work with as well. So this is now where we can really get started, scout some Wonderkids, bring them in, and hopefully make this team a team that could go on in the future to develop into one of the world's best. Okay, I said we needed to hold on to our star players if we were going to be successful over and over again, but as we are Feyenoord, you can guess that did not happen. Before we get into the transfers though, for Season 2, I'm just going to ask you guys if you could do me a massive favour. If you could like the video, it really does give me a massive boost here on YouTube. I know you probably hear every YouTuber say it, but it really does help. And subscribe as well if you are enjoying the content. The aim is to get 40,000 subscribers by the start of FM25. We've got a couple of months left and we are getting close, so any support to that target would be amazing. Make sure as well, if you want to see a specific rebuild, comment it down below. Every rebuild we do is based on your suggestions. And if you want to access these save files or save files from any video that we've done in the past here on the channel, you can find that on my Patreon, where you can come over and support me, and in return you'll get save files from Season 1 through to 5 for every rebuild. So you can take it over at the end and continue it, or jump in halfway through and try and do a better job than I did. But with that being said, let's take a look at our transfers. Our first sale was Barton Ukup, who has moved on, age 28, to go and join Cagliari out in Serie A for a small fee of 400k. Julian Carranza has also left. He's gone back to Argentina to Racing Club for a fee of 600,000. I've also sold on Ayase Ueda already. He's gone to Belgian side Anderlecht for a fee of 2.6. A pretty recent buy from Feyenoord for quite a bit of money, but he's not someone that I think represents that level in-game just yet, so I was happy to let him go, and I think we've got a better player in. And speaking of letting people go, we also let go of a youngster. Guivaro Reed has moved on to AC Milan, a player with decent ability and decent potential, but was it enough to warrant an £8.25 million deal to the Italian giants? I'm not so sure, so you know what? I think we take that money. Our experienced centre-back Troina has got to move out to Saudi Arabia. He's going to play for Al Riyadh, and he has moved for a fee of 8.25 million, which is massive profit on what the club originally paid for him. And then Calvin Stengs has also moved to Saudi. He is another one like Bijlo, who has gone and got a major wage packet and wanted to leave as soon as they came in, and you can't blame him. He's a massive fan favourite at the club, but now he's moved on for 31 million, rising to 37.5. He was crucial for us last season, one of our best, so replacing him will not be easy. But obviously finding a replacement for someone like Stengs is pretty hard when I can only sign players 23 and under, the limitation I've put on myself on this rebuild. I think we found some young stars that could develop, but I don't necessarily think these guys are world-class potential just yet. The first one coming in was Marko Pasalic, which was probably not the best buy that I could have ever done. 4.5 million from Rijeka in Croatia. He could be someone that has a bit of an upside, but I'm not too sure just yet. Whether he's going to replace Stengs, I'm not sure. I'm not too worried about that position because I've promoted some youngsters that I think could help us. But I have now brought in a new goalkeeper between the sticks. Nikola Kavlina is one of the best young goalies around. The Croatian 22-year-old I picked up for a pretty small fee of only 4 million, rising to 4.5. Another deal coming in from Croatia, which seems to be where our scouts are finding the best players so far. But then my biggest signing was this guy, whose name I'm going to try, but I'm going to absolutely butcher it. Tijlman Blockzilj? I don't know if I've done that right at all, but anyway, we have picked him up from Groningen for 7.25 million and then loaned him straight back out to the club. I think he's a centre-back that looks really good already, could grow into a top talent. We competed with Man City, Chelsea and PSG for him. Granted, they probably weren't offering him the football that we're planning to offer him, but he decided to choose us, which surprised me. But either way, the centre-back is in, a Dutch 19-year-old with a bright future, exactly the kind of profile we want here at Feyenoord. Now, I said I wanted to promote youngsters. I am actually going to ask Shaquille Van Persie to play most games this season. As we holiday ahead, I'll ask the assistant to use him. I think he could be a great replacement for Stengs and has huge potential. He just needs to play. Meanwhile, after a pretty good loan at Fortuna Sittard, I think Anthony Malambo is someone that we're going to give a lot of opportunities to this season. Hopefully, again, another player we can develop and see him grow into a star for us. But this is how our best 11 currently looks. And I've got to say, it does look a little bit weakened now we've sold on so many players, but we have raised a lot of cash and that hopefully will help us down the line when some better Wonderkids become available. In goal, I think Kavlina is actually our best, with Holmgren Pedersen, Gertrude, Hancho and also Hartman being our best defence, which is probably the strongest area of this team. Bielan maybe isn't the best, but comes in as our best defensive midfielder. Meanwhile, Zaruki and Timber complete the midfield. Ivanusic, Pasalic and Jimenez complete our forward line. I think our wings are maybe a little bit weak and DM2, so that might be something that we have to look at in a future window. But for now, having won the title last time out, we are still predicted 4-1 favourites. Now, Ajax have jumped up in the favourite rankings, so maybe they've improved massively in this window. I'm not too sure just yet, but either way, our season is ready to go. We're going to do the best that we can in Season 2, hopefully win another title, push on in the Champions League, and see what we can make of this club, who we might need to keep, who we might need to sell, and which players might turn into superstars. And this season was once again a mixed bag, but I'd almost say it's the reverse of what we had last year. So let's start off with the Dutch Cup, the domestic cup. We made it to the final once more. And this time round we were up against Willem II. Milambo creating an early chance through Jimenez, who scored after only 12 seconds. So unlike last year in the final, we had broken the deadlock, and it wasn't too long afterwards we made it 2, Holmgren Pedersen tapping in from close range. And if 2 wasn't enough, we managed to add a third. Sauer going into the box, finding Shaquille Van Persie, back into Jimenez, Jimenez, what a goal, and that was enough to secure us a Dutch Cup, so already we've added an Eredivisie title and the Dutch Cup to our trophy cabinet in our 2 years here. And you might have noticed a player there that I mentioned who I haven't spoken about yet. This is Leo Sjouwer, who actually spent last season out on loan at NAC Breda, has then came back this year, played a lot and played really well, so I think he's someone that we could see blossom into a top level winger. But this season in the league we had a lot more competition. I'd say we did about as well as we did last year. We haven't really dropped off despite all the exits that we had, but Ajax had a much better year, pushed us all the way, and on the last game of the season we had to win and hope Ajax dropped points to try and win the title. Now, playing at home against Fortuna Sittard on the last day, you probably would expect a pretty comfortable victory, and it looked like it would be early on. Van Persie getting in, pulling it back to Malambo, the youngsters combining for a goal, but kind of out of nowhere, a deflected free kick from the opposition ended up finding the back of the net. We did hit back though before the close of the first half, Pedersen being a threat down the right, pulling it back in, and then Jimenez tapping from close range. Maybe it was the nerves that got to us though, because once again we allowed them in behind, they pulled a ball across, and it was 2-2 before we knew it. And that was the scoreline until the 92nd minute, when the ball came in, we headed it home from the corner, Bielan with the goal, and we had won our match, so we just needed Ajax to drop points and we could win the title. They had different ideas though. They beat AZ Alkmaar, the 4th place team in the league, 4-0 on the last day of the season, blowing us away and managing to pick the title by 1 point. Despite our superior goal difference, they only lost twice all season, both games to us, so really we needed someone else to do us a favour in the league. No one else could, so it's Ajax's title this time round. We lose out and we're not going to be consecutive champions. But on to Europe now. We're in the Champions League, this time with a new format. We were able to make the knockout stages. Maybe the easiest draw we could have had though, the knockout playoff round, we faced off against Antwerp and beat them 8-2 across 2 legs. But then we got drawn up against Arsenal, the current holders of the competition. They managed to beat us 5-2 on aggregate and knocked us out in the round of 16. But we did have some good notable performances this year. Jimenez with 37 goals, Ivan Nusic with 18, Kavlina having a brilliant first season, and Leo Sjouwer performing very well on that wing spot. Shaquille Van Persie hit 12 in his first year in the first 11, and then Malambo as well, hitting 12 goals. So those two combining shows there is a bright future here and a bright core of players. But we still need to improve this team and add more Wonderkids in case we sell any of our stars. Thankfully, we have got £65 million to do so, a huge budget that comes from last season's transfers that we didn't really spend once we'd sold them. So fingers crossed we can bring in some top talent this year. We've almost 5 times our transfer budget. Maybe that means we can 5 times the quality of our squad. Okay, season 3, the transfer madness has begun. Plenty of money made in sales, plenty spent on incomings too. But before I show you them, just to let you know, I do have a second channel as well now, linked in the description, which is all about my favourite club, Chelsea, and also football in general, not just Football Manager. So if that sounds interesting to you, please do go ahead and check it out. We need a handful of subscribers to hit 1k, so I'd really appreciate any feedback and support over there. But our team might need support because we have sold so many players. Let me run through them. Timon Vellenrufer is the first to go, moving to Hoffenheim for a minuscule fee. Ezekiel Balaud wanted to leave the club, so he's gone to Racing Club for just under $1 million. Patrick Vollemark is a player I have had success with in previous FMs, but here it hasn't worked out and he's ended up going to Bordeaux for 1.1 million. Thomas van der Belt is another player that we've moved on. He's gone to join Standard Liège for 1.1 mil. Our first real failed transfer, not every Wonderkid will grow of course, but Marco Pasalic really did not, and he has moved on now to Hertha Berlin for 1.7 mil. So he cost us about 3 million for 5 appearances and 1 goal. Definitely a failure. We did manage to get some money off of Casemiro though, who has now joined Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga. 1.8 mil from the former Ajax player, which is a little bit more on what Feyenoord initially paid for him. He was just never going to grow to be good enough to match what our team was now. The scorer of one of our most important goals last season, Thomas Bielan, has also left, the 24-year-old moving on to join Anderlecht for 2.3 mil. Then there's Guy Schmall, who was one of our left-back options. He's moved to Hertha Berlin. The German team's really liking our players. 5 million for him is not a bad sale at all. But here's the big one, the biggest sale of this window. We're always going to lose our stars as a team like Feyenoord, at least for the first few years, and Santiago Jimenez has done exactly that. He has joined Chelsea for a fee of 85 million, rising to 93. We do really well out of that, to be honest. That is a good deal. Meanwhile, he's now valued at 200 mil at Chelsea. Good luck to him there. The fans love him, but when you make that kind of money on a striker for a club like Feyenoord, we just have to take it. Don't fear though, I think the income incomings are going to make up for the big sale. Coming in first was Rome Jadon Owusu-Adoro, who is one of the best young goalkeepers in the Netherlands, 21 years of age here. We've signed him from AZ Alkmaar, where he started for 2 years already for 12 million, which was a release clause fee and a bargain if I must say so. For a similar fee, 12 million, we have picked up Martin Vitic, who has signed for us from Sparta Prague. Again, pretty cheap for the player we're getting, although he's now wanted by Real Madrid already, which shows you that we might have got ourselves a bargain here. I aim to make a Wonderkid team that's unstoppable, and you have to add Sverhouse of Nijpan to a team that you're looking to do that with. The Norwegian 18-year-old has signed for 5 million quid from Rosenborg. Our scouts picked up on him, and thank God they did, because I can only sign players that scouts recommend in these videos, so having this guy on board is a godsend. We made 90 million on Jimenez and only spent 10 million on a replacement. Semih Kılıçsoy is a Turkish international, age 19, a forward who's been playing well for Besiktas, but not scoring too many. Now, he isn't highly rated in-game just yet according to the star ratings, but attributes-wise, I see a player here who could do very well if given the opportunity. And then arguably our most shrewd signing was Vicente Pizarro, a Chilean international 22-year-old, coming in for 3.6 mil. He's joining from Colo Colo in Chile. He's a model citizen personality with great defensive ability, really good on the ball as well, a left-footed player at the base of that defence. I said we needed a new number 6, and he might be that man. And I feel like this team is really coming along now. In goal, it's still Kavlina with Vitic, Gertruda, Hartman and Pedersen as a strong defence. Timber, Nijpan and Pizarro make up a very good midfield, with Sjoa on that right wing. Ivanusic is supposedly our best left winger, and then Piek Zhao is supposedly our best striker, but I think realistically we'll be looking at something a little bit more like this as the season goes on. Get some development for those youngsters, turn them into beasts. We are producing a very good Wonderkid side here. If we can keep this up, this might be a team that can dominate in a few years' time if we just give them the right growth. Okay, season 3 is done. I've said mixed bag for the first 2 years. It feels a little bit like that again. I feel like we're going to be the nearly team with Feyenoord here in this rebuild, because this third year, it had a lot of disappointments and worries around it, but let's start with the positives again. Because for our third year out of 3, we made the final of the Dutch Cup. We faced off against SC Camber, and they may as well call this the Feyenoord Trophy because we demolished them and we won it 4-0 for the second year in a row. In the Champions League though, we once again managed to qualify for the knockout phase, but we got drawn against AC Milan in a very tough tie. But despite all the odds being stacked against us, we actually won the home leg 1-0, and that meant if we held out in the second leg, we could knock out the Italian giants and progress to the round of 16. And this game is a crazy one. So remember, we're 1-0 up in the tie at this point, and this is 38 minutes in. A ball goes across and Semih Kılıçsoy scores, we're 2-0 up, but the game flipped on its head where out of nowhere, the man we signed in season 1, David Afgenbauer, charged in on Oscar, took him out and ended up getting a second yellow, which meant he was off and we were down to 10 men. We did manage to hold out though until the 80th minute where AC Milan got their first goal back from a corner. That was 2-1 and it looked like we were going to scrape through, but in the 93rd minute, Rafael Leao hit this curler, that was 2-2 and we were into extra time. And as soon as extra time started, Rafael Leao turned it on again, found Fofana into Benacer, and they were now leading. Only a few minutes later, another ball comes in from a corner, Rafael Leao this time powering home. And if that wasn't already enough for the Milan side, Pulisic went down the right wing, found Calabria into Malik Fior, that deflected, it bounced around, Morata scored, and we went from being 2-0 up on aggregate in the 80th minute to losing the tie 5-2 somehow. Not to fear though, because in the last game of our league season, we had a chance to win the title. Again, it was between us and Ajax. We needed them to drop points and us to win, and we managed to score 1, but not only 1, not too long afterwards, we came forward and made it 2. So we did secure the win on the last day of the season, and the title once again could be ours. We just needed to wait and see how Ajax did in their game. And this is why I say I feel like we're going to be the nearly team in this rebuild, because once again, Ajax pippers to the title. They lost 2 games all season, drew 8, meanwhile we lost 4. We got way less points in previous seasons. If we played how we did in other years, we could have won it, but Ajax have taken the title yet again. So that's 3 years here, 2 Dutch Cups, 1 Eredivisie title. I feel like we need to do better because there's been no European run at all. If we're trying to take positives outside of the Dutch Cup, Semih Kılıçsoy had a very good year with 22 goals, Leo Sjoa had a good year with 15, but outside of that, it wasn't the craziest year for goal scorers. It wasn't our best performance by any any stretch, and I think we're going to need some reinforcements. But because of all those sales we made last season where we didn't really spend the cash, we are going into our season 4 transfer window with £98 million to spend and £771,000 of wage budget, which is crazy to see at Feyenoord. I'm not going to spend it all, but I'm hoping to bring in some top level Wonderkids and take us to that next level, because we need to try and win in Europe if I'm going to class this rebuild as a success. And if Jimenez wasn't already a big enough loss in Season 3, Season 4's transfers went even crazier, so strap in, say goodbye to your favourite players, because so many of them have left. First, Igor Piaksau has left the club to join Damak in Saudi Arabia for 9.5 million. He's been a good player for us, but it's decent money for him. Ramis Saruki did not play as much last season, so wanted to leave, so I'm sure he was happy when Al Khalij in Saudi Arabia offered 10 million, so off he goes to there, and good luck to him. Our first real key player to have left, Luka Ivanusic, the Croatian, now 27-year-old, has left to join Saudi Arabian side Al Ittihad for 25 mil, rising to 30. He's been really good for us for 3 years, so we are missing a big player there. But they keep going. David Affengruber, who got sent off against AC Milan, has now left. He's gone to join FC Porto for 31 million quid. Bought him in for a free, got better and better, and now moved on for 30 million. A great profit there. Nikola Kavlina has also left, but he's getting a huge £1 million a week at Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. 34 million pounds was the fee. Only signed him 2 seasons ago for 4.5 million, so I'm definitely going to take that. But then the biggest loss, our homegrown product. He was always going to leave at some point. Gertrude has left to go and join Chelsea. Age 26, he's getting a mega contract there, so good luck to him. Leaves for 63 million, rising to 69. He's been so good for us, a key player, one of our main leaders as well, but out the door he goes and we'll have to move on. Coming in at first, we have a free deal for James McAtee from Man City. Let go on a free contract, so we picked him up to give us some extra squad depth. Chris Brady is in as our new backup goalkeeper. I'm going to give Owusu Adoro the #1 shirt this season, but Brady, the American 22-year-old, is now in for 5.5 million from Chicago Fire. We also bought in a new midfielder. Tohu Muku is a 21-year-old German centre mid. I don't know why I've got so many people with hard names in this video, but he's been playing for Hoffenheim, playing consistently more and more as the years gone by, and we got him for a release clause fee of just under 12 mil. Vladimir was our next incoming, who we've loaned back out to Fluminense in Brazil. He is a centre-back from Brazil, of course. He's been playing at that club for a while. We paid 13 mil for him, and now he's going to spend another season in the nation to keep getting better, hopefully. Gertrude leaving meant we had a big gap at right back. It was only Pedersen who played there, so we picked up Mark Pubel, the 23-year-old Spanish fullback from Almeria, for 16 million quid. I think he could be a big talent for us down the line. But then our 2 biggest signings, firstly, a new centre-back. Junior Mwanga comes in for a fee of 18 million pounds from French side Strasbourg. It can rise to just under 20 mil, but he's been exceptional for the French club as the years have gone. Great with the ball at his feet as well, so should be an excellent addition. And then finally, I've brought in a Dutch talent. Myron van Brederode has joined from AZ Alkmaar for 23 million quid. He's been pretty decent for them, but maybe not as good as he could be, but I think he's going to be a nice addition, able to play both wings, inside forward, inverted winger. He can do it all. He should be a brilliant player for our side. So here is our new best 11, and the team is already looking pretty changed from what we initially inherited. Owusu Adoro is in, with Pubel, Vitic, Mwanga and Hartman being the only remainder in that best defence. Timber's still here alongside Pizarro and Naipan. I might imagine it a little bit more like this though, while Siawa and then Van Brederode are on the wings and Killaskoy is up top. But there's plenty of great players on the bench. Our academy is producing lots of great talents too. If we have a look, we are upgrading the facilities. We've pretty much maxed everything out, and financially there is 231 million quid in the balance. I still have a transfer budget of 136 million, but I'm trying to be sensible with it. I'm not going to spend it all, but now our team is ready to go. A very new look Feyenoord side. We're hoping we can still deliver the success that we've had in previous seasons, and maybe, just maybe, push on a little bit further. And I actually think, in terms of on-the-pitch results, this has been the most polarising rebuild I've ever had. I don't know whether to feel happy or sad about it, but let's start off once again with the Dutch Cup. And I mentioned before, they may as well call this Feyenoord's trophy, and we have won it once again, facing off against FC Utrecht, who we lost to in penalties in year 1, I believe. This time round, Sauer scored early on, and we ended up winning 4-0. So that's 1 trophy in the bag. I'm going to get the Eredivisie out of the way next, though, because once again, I just can't understand this at all. Ajax have won it for the 3rd year in a row, but once more, we are within a game pretty much of winning the trophy. They have gone and got 90 points. We've got 87, having a great year. They lost 2 times all season, one of which to us. We also drew against them, so it's not like we didn't do our part in this. they're just getting better and better. They're so hard to compete with. No Eredivisie title in Season 4. With only 1 year left to go, the max we can now win is 2 titles. But thankfully, we were better this year in Europe, and that's because we got knocked out of the UCL in the qualifying stages, leading to a Europa League run. And having knocked out Bilbao and Braga, we had made it all the way to the semi-final, where we came up against what you would consider a better side in RB Leipzig, but we scored early on, Pizarro opening the scoring. And in the home leg, we managed to add a second. Myron van Brederode getting down the left-hand side, a big player for us this year, cut in, played a pass through, Naipan slotted a shot past the goalie, that was 2. And before we knew it, the first half was about to close, but Kileskoy made it 3, and we were loving life. Leipzig, though, were a talented side, and Werner's shot deflected through, and they ended up getting 1 goal back. And in the second leg, despite a loss, we did manage to beat Leipzig, going through on an aggregate victory. 5-4 was the result, and we were in a European final. And no matter what, a Dutch club was about to win the Europa League, because we were up against PSV of all clubs, and we got off to a flyer. Van Persie down the right, a brilliant ball in, and Kileskoy made it 1. PSV, though, had been quietly improving during this rebuild, and they did give us a pretty tough game. Unfortunately, we pretty much handed them a goal. A poor pass out found Holjek, who tucked it away, and that was it. We were heading to a penalty shootout to decide who wins the Europa League. Naipan scored first against Benitez, but then Veerman stepped up and Owusu Adoro made a big save. McAtee was next and he tucked it away, and we kept scoring. Timber got the next one until once again they missed one. Vrank stepping up, Owusu Adoro saving, and that meant if Dragan, a youth academy product, scored, we were winning the Europa League. He tucked it away, and that meant we were European champions. Kind of out of nowhere, we were aiming for the Champions League this whole rebuild, but we just weren't good enough for that. The Europa League, though, we can certainly take. So that's a Europa League, 3 Dutch Cups, and an Eredivisie title, alongside some Dutch Super Cups as well that I haven't mentioned along the way. So 4 seasons of what I would say is pretty good success. And there was a real star this season, Kileskoy getting 43 goals in 53 appearances. I'd be surprised if we can hang on to him with the interest in him. Van Brederode with a great year, 14. Sauer getting 16. Vicente Pizarro with 13, while Shaquille Van Persie and Naipan hit 28 goals between them. Great performances across the board, but there is one worry that I have, and that is you might have saw our finances earlier were looking really good. We had £200 million in a balance, 130 million of transfer budget. So tell me where that's gone, because I haven't spent any more, and suddenly we've got a negative 10 million budget, but £1 million in the wages. And if we have a look at the finances, most of the money's still there, so I don't know what they've done to take all of that money away from us in the transfer window, but I'm not going to question it too much. My hope is if I can sell someone for £10 million or so, I can then move all of that wage budget into transfer budget and have something to work with, but who knows what's going to happen. Season 5 is upon us, 1 year left to go. Which Wonderkids can we add to this star-studded lineup? And it's crazy to say in a rebuild with Feyenoord that Season 5 was quite a quiet transfer window when there was over £150 million worth of transfers. Before we see them though, the last time I can ask you, if you have enjoyed, smash the like button. I massively appreciate it. But let's go take a look at the sales and see what we've done. As expected, after a few transfers, I was able to wiggle the budget. This guy that we picked up for free in Season 1 has now moved on to play for Utrecht for 1.2 mil. We've developed him well. He's appeared here and there, and now he goes off to hopefully have a good career. Chris Brady also out the door because I've got a new goalkeeper in now. I've changed goalie pretty much every year. We take a hit on him, 1.9 million to Italian side Fiorentina. Good luck to him, but that money doesn't really matter. We just needed to get a goalie out to bring our new one in. So Humku wanted to leave the club, so he's gone to Alweda. He didn't play much last year considering what he wanted to play. He only started 14 despite appearing 29 times. So he's moved on for a slight profit. So we're not going to question that too much. Out he goes. But then the big sale is Quintin Timber, probably the last of the stars that we had initially at the start. I mean, we've lost Jimenez, Gertruida, and now Timber. Biljo as well in Season 1. He's gone to Al Ittihad, 700k a week. Good luck to him, 61 million quid. He served as well since joining from Ajax, and yeah, he's gone now. Incomings wise, it was pretty quiet. Charlie Patino came in on a free from Arsenal to back us up in midfield. Anyone that continues to save over on Patreon, I want you to let me know how this Wonderkid goalie gets on, because he is already Belgium's #1, age 19, and looks like an unbelievable goalie. His name is Yassin Bernard, who we picked up for 40 million from from Genk, so he's been playing since he was 17. He's that good. Hugo Sotelio adds some extra depth to midfield. I don't know where his face has gone, but he is an option in the centre mid position now. He comes in for 25 million from Getafe, originally at Vigo, and has done well pretty much everywhere he's gone, so he'll be a nice workhorse in that midfield. And finally, I've added some extra wing depth with the signing of Sergei Pinyeyev, the Russian 22-year-old, joining from Lokomotiv Moscow for 20 million quid, rising to 23 million. So that is all of our business done, and this is what is now considered our best 11. The team that we're left with looks exactly as so. In goal, we've got Bernard, who comes in as our best goalie. Pubil, Vitit, Mwanga, and Hartman are alongside Pizarro, Sotelo, and Naipan. Shaquille Van Persie has turned into a wonderful footballer and is still only 20 at this stage. And then Van Brederode is on the left, and Killiskoy looking like an unbelievable forward up top. This Wonderkid team is absolutely stacked. Still such a high ceiling for so many of these players. I mean, Pizarro has been so good for us since signing, and there's still others too, still developing. I mean, Malambo, haven't spoke about him much, but look at the player he's became now. Such a talent, such a star-studded lineup of Wonderkids who can still get plenty better yet. Let's simulate now our last season, season 5. How can we do? Fingers crossed we can finally win the Eredivisie again and maybe pick up another European trophy. And rejoice, this last season, I think we can finally just take it without disappointment and be happy with what we've done. Let's start, as always, like we have done with the Dutch Cup, where we managed to play against Ajax, and all the times they beat us in the league, we finally got to get our own back. We didn't just score one from the penalty spot, we later got a second, Pizarro coming forward to Van Brederode, who had a brilliant game on that left wing. He tucked it across, Killiskoy made it too. And then, just to punish Ajax for all the pain they put us through, this free kick routine found Van Brederode onto Gauger, who scored from close range, and that was the Dutch Cup won. 4 years won it, one time lost in the final in penalties. That has been our trophy hands down. And the guy that just scored that you might not have heard the name of is an academy product, Gauger, I don't know how you pronounce it, Desco Gauger, 18-year-old forward who is going to be a superstar here, I'm certain of it. So someone continue this on Patreon and let me know how he does. In the Champions League, we made the knockout playoff round again, this time beaten Bayer Leverkusen 5-3 on aggregate, but unfortunately, kind of just unlucky really. The round of 16, drawn against PSG, who beat us 8-2 on aggregate, and this is a side, by the way, that have won the trophy 2 times in a row now, and I'm assuming they're going to win it again. Yeah, they won the final 4-0 against Liverpool. That shows you just how good they've become. But in the league season this year, I've got to say, there was no one close to us. We weren't necessarily better, everyone else was just worse, but one of the stars of this season was Semi Killiskoy, who managed to score so many goals, including 4 in this game against Utrecht. And he just couldn't stop scoring. He scored another brace in a game against PSV. And despite being demolished 7-0 in that second leg against PSG in the Champions League, he was part of a team that helped us beat them 2-1 on our home turf. A memorable day for any Feyenoord fan, but it will have been a memorable season for them too, because the Eredivisie is finally back in our hands. Killiskoy was the main driving force for it. Shaquille Van Persie having his best year yet. What a player he's become now. And yeah, I mean, we've finally done it. Champions, like I say, it's mainly because everyone else wasn't so good, but look at that, unbeaten all season. We had an invincible season in the Eredivisie. 8 draws kind of takes away from it a little bit. We should have won most of those matches, to be fair, but either way, 86 points, 72 goal difference. The title is ours, and we have finally delivered the Eredivisie once more to Feyenoord. That's 2 Eredivisie wins, 4 Dutch Cups, a Europa League, and plenty of Super Cups. The reputation's gone up, the facility's looking great financially, there's loads of money in the balance, and once again, for some reason, they've taken the transfer budget off me. I don't know what the club's doing in that sense, but the Dev Centre is producing loads of great young stars. If anyone continues this on Patreon, let me know how you get on with all of the players that we've been producing. Thank you guys for all the support recently. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.